Hey guys, welcome back. Today, Kara from 24 Karat is going to tell us her thoughts on calories and counting calories. Tell me what you think.
Hello, it's day 13, and I want to talk about calories. Sorry for the random truck / ATV noises that you're going to hear in the background. Everybody's going home from work, and I have to record outside today. So I tried Chronometer for the first time. Surprisingly, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun here, but surprisingly, I kind of like it. It's very unobtrusive. It's very simple. I like the way that you can just add food and you don't have to worry about, like, okay, what meal did it go to? What group does it belong to? You know, it might work for me. But on the other side of that, I did eat too much today. I ate over maintenance. I ate about 300 to 500 calories over maintenance. And I don't know because I stopped tracking. There's a lot of shame for me when I fail using a calorie counter because it should be so easy, right? It should be so easy. But it's not for me. And naturally I struggle because, I just wake up every day trying to do the best that I can, trying to be as healthy as I can possibly be. And then I fail. So I wake up the next day and I just try to do the best that I can. And that stupid best that I can mentality, that is the thing that has given me this, that has made me so miserable over the course of the years. If I'm gonna use a calorie counter, I have to really start using it. I can't just write it off every day when I want to overeat. And that's what it is. Today it was Reese's and pizza. And I also don't think that it's surprising that today's Friday. Today's old binge day. So maybe not the best day to start Chronometer. But you gotta start sometime, so why not start on the hardest possible day for yourself, right? Why not give yourself a hard time and set yourself up to fail, right? I don't really know what to do with myself at this point.
Sometimes things are just hard. Sometimes things are difficult, but you know what? When you can learn to overcome some of those hard and some of those difficult moments, there's something good about those things, right? Sometimes this is going to be your crux in life, right? For other people, it's going to be something else. And if you ever solve this weight problem, there's always going to be another problem that pops up, okay? The best that we can do is know that we're not alone, that other people deal with these issues, and some people deal with issues that are actually bigger than ours, right? Let's see what the rest of what she has to say here.
Like these videos, it's just like a chronicle of one failure over and over. At this point, I really don't think I'll ever get there. And I know that's just a Friday talking. Fridays are my worst days. I just have to wake up tomorrow and do my best again. But it's hard when your best isn't good enough. And on top of that, I know that a lot of my problems are due to emotional eating. My situation is not super stable right now. I'm fogging up, sorry. Yeah, my situation isn't super stable right now, so I have to get to the point where I just stop eating my feelings. But as far as small victories go, at least today I stopped. The binge started, and it did start. It started full tilt. It started full tilt, but I stopped. I did stop. And tonight I'm gonna drink some sparkling water, take a really nice hot shower, and play some video games. So it goes back to that whole bad day thing, like my morning went okay. I was doing okay with tracking. I went to the gym and I had a pretty good time. My afternoon was tough. I felt myself spiraling. But my evening's better. I caught myself. I caught myself and I did stop. And as guilty as I feel now, there's no taking it back. There's no taking it back. There's no taking back all of the wasted time. I just have to keep going forward. Like, it's hard because I'm almost 2 weeks in and I haven't really noticed much change. If anything, I almost feel like it's worse. I really shouldn't have tried the intuitive eating right off the bat. I really shouldn't have done that, but, hindsight's 20/20. And tomorrow's another day. I can stick to it. I think I can, at least. Man, what was I thinking? A Friday of all days. My worst. Whatever.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but I'm starting to like Kara enough that when she feels sad, it makes me feel a little bummed out. But there's good news. I have another video where she's a little bit more positive and actually has some advice for you. So check this one out.
Hello, it's day 339, and I want to talk about the 20-minute rule. The 20-minute rule is a very simple piece of diet advice. It says that after eating, you should wait 20 minutes before you go back for seconds. The idea is that it takes your brain a little while to catch up to your stomach, and it takes your stomach a little while to send fullness cues to your brain. So by giving yourself 20 minutes, you allow those two systems of your body to get on the same page, and thus you're more likely to feel your fullness cues and not overeat. Thus, you'll lose weight. If you try to look into this particular piece of diet advice, it's very hard to find an original source. It seems to have been around forever, like it's just floating around ensconced as one of those rules that you should just follow. And I do understand why. When I first started intuitive eating, I found the 20-minute rule crucial to understanding my own fullness cues. There was a period of time where I didn't think I had fullness cues. You can go back like a couple months in these videos and hear me talking about how I felt like I didn't feel hunger and fullness like a normal person. And that was a little bit short-sighted. That was me just learning like I always do. But I've also found that 20 minutes is kind of arbitrary. It's just one of those benchmark numbers that gets thrown out there. It will be different for everyone, just like everything else with dieting. For me, it's more like the 10 to 12 minute rule. If after 10 minutes of waiting after eating, I still feel hunger, I'll go back for something else. But if after 10 to 12 minutes I'm not feeling hunger, if I'm feeling satisfied, that's my cue to move on. It does take a little while for your body to communicate to itself. So if you're trying intuitive eating, I would also suggest that you try the 20-minute rule or the 10-minute rule or the 15-minute rule. You'll learn your own body's time frame. You will. So that is a piece of advice for you. I wouldn't use it so much to try to lose weight. I would use it more as a way to feel comfortable fullness. So keep that in mind.
So the 20-minute rule obviously works because every time we go out to Mexican restaurants, we eat the chips and salsa before they bring us our entree, and half of us get full before we even see our entree. Hey, on another note, back to calories, I've had friends in the past that really kept good budgets and kept a really good meticulous checkbook, right? They knew about every dollar coming in and they knew about every dollar going out, and many times they were miserable because even though they saw things progressing in and out, they knew they were going in the wrong direction. On the other hand, I had friends that always tried to spend less than they made, and they always had a ton of cash. So what does that mean when it comes to dieting? You can take a look at every calorie on every food, or you can just be like us venters and you can walk away so many calories every day that you can't help but lose a ton of weight. And if you want to be a venter like us, go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, venters. How are you? How the heck are you? Guys, it's Sunday for me. Happy Father's Day. This is going to be my last day of my vacation, so to speak, and I go back to work tomorrow. And it just goes to show you that whether you have a 3-day weekend or an 8 or 9-day weekend, it all seems to go hella fast, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, there is nothing you can do at our age, guys. Absolutely nothing you can do to slow down the clocks of time. It keeps going faster and faster and faster. That's why so many people think it's a simulation. How the heck does time keep going by quicker? Guys, I don't know if you heard, but not only is this the second day of our challenge, but June is Men's Mental Health Month. And I want you guys to know, if you're brand new to the channel, that I think one of the best things you can do for your mental health is take a daily walk. You know, a lot of times the stresses of the day can build up on people. And before you know it, you're acting like a crazy wild man. When in reality, you might be very calm, cool, and collected, but when you get too many things on your plate, it's really easy to get out of sorts. So I want you to know that sometimes it's good to stop running and to take a walk with your pal Jesse and with the rest of the venters, knowing that you're not alone, that every single one of us has different challenges, issues, and problems that we're dealing with. You know, for example, I have 2 kids. One of my kids is very active in my life, and one of my kids is very active in their own lives and doesn't necessarily want anything to do with me. Now, those are things that could really be upsetting, and it's sometimes they are. Sometimes I share it with the venters. And, you know, sometimes the best way to cope is to get outside in the beautiful weather and to take a walk. Now, beautiful weather does not exist this time of year in Arizona, but if you can get out of the house early enough, it's still somewhat bearable, especially if you just take a half-hour walk or so. For people that are new, continue with your food audit. Continue taking mental walks with us. I believe that if you immerse yourself into venter culture, you'll end up wanting to take an actual walk, okay? And part of our walk and part of our exercise routine that I hope the venters like is that we try to make it where it's not like exercise at all. Well, how's that, Jesse? Well, Bob, what we like to do is we like to go over some fun stuff. One of the things that I like to do is I like to go over some stuff that's in the news, but not necessarily the national news that's always doom and gloom. I like to check out what our buddies at the Good News Network have to say. And guys, today, I've got some real good ones. Now, these good ones here, well, this good one, I got one story here, but I think it's going to help everyone's mental health because this is one of those, wow, what a neat story to hear. Okay, so check this out. There is a school in Titusville, Florida called Astronaut High School, okay? I think they call their students space cadets. No, just kidding. But Astronaut High School, there are parents, Tracy and Mike Rendina. Now I want you guys to picture this. They have a 1 in 11 billion odds, or the chances of this situation were 1 in 11 billion. They recently had a daughter named Riley Rendina, okay, who was valedictorian of the school. 2 years before that, her sister McKaylee was valedictorian of Astronaut High School. 2 years prior to that, Alyssa Rendina was valedictorian at Astronaut High School. And 2 years before that, Taylor Rendina was valedictorian of of Astronaut High School, once again in Titusville, Florida. Now think about what the Rendinas are dealing with. They have a 1 in 11 billion odds of their kids winning or becoming valedictorian of the school. Guys, all 4 daughters became valedictorian, all of them 2 years apart. That's a 1 in 11 billion chance of occurring. It's easier to win the lottery twice, probably. You know what I mean? That is crazy. Now, one thing I didn't do, because I didn't want it to potentially ruin the story, is I did not check out the attendance or the school population of Astronaut, Florida. For all I know, it's a small private school with 8 kids, you know? But that's a fun little homework assignment for venters. Mala, Lily, Sheila, Sherry Ann, check out the population of Astronaut High School and let us know in the comments. I'm hoping it's a school that has a normal amount of kids, but even if there are only 10 or 15 kids at that school, that's still quite an accomplishment. It doesn't sound like one of those schools that's huge, does it? I've never heard of Astronaut High School, right? But if I was the principal there, I would definitely call all the kids Space Cadets. So, guys, I thought that was a really neat story. The Rendina parents, they must be so proud. But they were saying that the last child, Riley, had so much pressure on her. Could you imagine if your 3 sisters took the valedictorian role? You know, it's funny. I bet you the other kids in the school are like, they probably don't do 1/10 of what these kids do. You know, your school has these honor points. So sometimes whoever goes for that valedictorian role, sometimes their parents know exactly how to put them down that path. And in this situation, I think they obviously did, you know. But let's be honest, I've never met a valedictorian that wasn't pretty special when it comes to just how smart they are. A lot of times when it comes to school grades, a lot of it's tough work. You know, are you willing to go home and sacrifice your social time to do your homework, you know? Are you willing to, go above and beyond what the other students are willing to do? And a lot of times you'll find that with valedictorians, they really are. What always amazes me is if you take a dive into valedictorians and what their mental makeup is, guys, a lot of times they find a way to not only go above and beyond when it comes to academics, but a lot of times they do a lot of stuff in their community with volunteer work and everything. So again, if every single one of us could hit the books and tackle challenges the way valedictorians do, that would be something else. You know what would be an interesting TV show? And maybe if someone out there's looking for a great TV show idea, what if you could find valedictorians gone wrong, right? I have a feeling Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, he might have been a valedictorian, or at least that type of individual. How many valedictorians maybe ended up going down a path that wasn't so positive, you know? Because I think we can all agree, you figure with valedictorians, more than likely, they're going to be very successful adults. But, you know, it doesn't work that way in real life, right? Out of every million people, or 1 million valedictorians, I'm sure there's a handful that end up being disappointments, you know? I would love to hear those stories. That'll make you feel better about yourself. So anyway, for brand new people, today I'm hoping is a day when you decide to maybe put your shoes on and take a quick little walk around your block. You know, if you go around the block, a lot of times people will find out that they can go around their specific block, you know, where you don't cross any streets, you just go around the block. A lot of times people can get that done in about 10 minutes or so, depending on how big your neighborhood is. If you have a little walk like that that's 10 minutes, guys, that might be perfect for you to get your feet wet. Go out there and start your journey with a little 10-minute walk, okay? And then what you can do is we can slowly springboard off that, and we can slowly but surely make a 10-minute walk, a 20 or 30-minute walk, just by going 2 or 3 times around the block, so to speak. You know, there's that Jennifer Lopez song, I'm just Jenny from the block. Have you guys heard the rumor? And I don't even know if it's a rumor now. I think it's the truth that apparently, did you guys hear that wasn't her voice? Apparently somebody else sang that part of the song or something, which is really weird because I feel like whoever sings that song, I feel like they sound like Jennifer Lopez. And it reminds me of Milli Vanilli. If you guys remember, Milli Vanilli in the late 80s, early 90s was at a concert, and Rob Pilatus, or the other guy, I forget the names of both of them. I think one's name was Rob. But do you guys remember the story where they knocked over a speaker or something? And all of a sudden, like, the record started skipping, right? Because they were doing They were voice syncing rather than actually singing their songs. And so that started a scandal where once they started investigating, they realized that Milli Vanilli was nothing but a fraud from the standpoint of it wasn't them singing. And this really didn't make sense to me, because my thinking is, if it's not them singing, well, somebody obviously is. Why don't we just bring out the real singers and let them have the fame and adoration from their fans that they deserve? But for whatever reason, Milli Vanilli goes down in history as one of these bands that was kind of a scam. And I don't really remember because I was a lot younger back then, but didn't they win quite a few MTV, type music awards and stuff? I just remember they were extremely popular. Don't forget my daily walk. Blame it on the walk, it was taking too long. You remember those songs, right? All right, maybe the lyrics didn't go exactly like that. Okay, so remember, here's the tip. When you're in your neighborhood, there's almost always a couple stretches where you can get some shade in. Why not try to walk in those shaded areas to give yourself a 10 seconds of relief there, 15 seconds of relief here and there, blah, blah, blah. So back to what we were saying earlier. June is Mental History Month. We are living in a world where bills are so high, stresses are so out there, that it's really easy to let the world and all the problems just snowball us, right? Just take us under. Sometimes the best way to get out of that is to come up with a proactive plan. I'm stressing because all my bills are so high, Jesse. Okay, Carla, let's get our shoes on, and I want you to dive into your think tank. Well, wait a minute, Jesse, I thought this walk was for physical health. It is. But one of the best ways to get physically healthy and start losing weight is to get rid of that stress. And one of the best ways we can get rid of stress is, instead of freaking out about our problems, we can take some time and try to solve some problems that we might be going through. When it comes to financial problems, I know this sounds silly, but if you just take our walking plan, a lot of times you'll find that instead of going out on a weekend to shop or go to the movies or something that can cause a lot of money to be spent, a lot of times you can get some free entertainment with yourself just with walking, And if you're going to go to the mall and you know that you're broke, why not just window shop and not spend any money? Check out what the prices are. Check out what the new styles are. Take a walk back and forth in your mall. And, if you end up buying something, at least you got a walk in there, okay? But you can tackle your problems when you're walking. Sometimes our problems have absolutely nothing to do with money. Sometimes we're just stressed. And I'm telling you, just moving one foot in front of the other can really just make you feel better. There's something magical about when the sun hits our skin. It wakes us up. Would you believe it? I just woke up 15 or 20 minutes ago. I got out my door and I've been walking here for the last 10 or 12 minutes. So it's a real good way to have a daily cup of coffee that doesn't involve coffee. By the way, if you're new to our show, I don't drink coffee at all, but my morning wake up is kind of like my morning cup of coffee. You get 5 or 10 minutes into a walk, and before you know it, you're awake and ready to tackle your day. Maybe when you get done with your walk, you're going to go to work, and you're going to have to deal with Dale and Karen, and maybe Dale and Karen bring you down and stress you out. Well, here's the difference now compared to last week. Last week, you just went in and you reacted to Dale and Karen the way you normally react. Now you can start to be proactive. On your walk, you can say, you know what? I'm a different me today than I was last week. Today, when I meet up with Dale and Karen, I'm not going to let the stupid things that come out of their mouths bother me. I'm going to be positive. If Dale wants to be a jerk, I'm just going to pretend like I didn't listen and didn't hear what came out of his mouth. Sometimes we're in a job because we have to be in that job. You know, you have bills due on the 1st of each month, and you need to have 4 weekly paychecks so you can pay your bills. So sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes we have to get along with Dale and Karen. Good morning. But you want to know something? If you do have good money, if you have saved up, if you do have a spouse that wants you to be mentally happy and you don't need the job, before you just quit, go on a handful of walks. Think about it. Is this a job that I want to quit just because Dale and Karen are jerks to work with? Would it be smart to put our resume out there on Indeed and Monster and all these different websites so that maybe I could start getting job offers before I just quit? You got to remember, one of the problems with dealing with people like Dale and Karen is if you truly dislike them, okay? Oh, what a pretty call. That bird wants to get laid. If you really dislike Dale and Karen, okay, the last thing you want to do is give them godlike powers. I mean, think about this. Imagine if somebody gave you the power to make them quit a job with just words and vocalizations that come out of your mouth. That's a godlike power. I don't want that power. You don't want that power if you're a decent person, right? You don't want to know that your voice can make people quit jobs. There's nothing good about that. So for us to give Dale and Karen that power is wrong. And believe me, if you end up quitting a job because of these people, and then you end up really struggling, going through your savings, not rebounding and getting a new, better job sooner rather than later, you know, all of a sudden you can be in a real tough spot. That'll end up making you hate Dale and Karen for the rest of your life. And here's the crazy thing. Sometimes people like Dale and Karen don't realize that they're rude and that they're jerks. Sometimes they have no idea. So could you imagine if you were actually Dale and Karen and there were people that are just hating on you and blaming all their lifelong problems on you, all because you were a little sassy or rude, you know? So the reality is, sometimes we have to work with people that are very not cool, okay? Sometimes we have to work right next to the squeaky wheel. What the heck is the squeaky wheel? We all know what the squeaky wheel is. The person that's loud and complains. We tell people in life, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. What that does is it tells certain people, I'm gonna speak up when I feel wronged. Here's the only problem. The squeaky wheel tends to feel wronged all the time, comes across as a pain in the butt, and the boss a lot of times will reward them by giving them stuff just so they stop complaining. What's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is when you give one employee special favors and special things, what's that do to the mental health of the other employees? It pisses them off. You have to remember, it's just like a dad and a mom. When you have multiple kids, sometimes your kids are going to analyze everything you do with their brothers and sisters. They're going to say, hey, Joey gets all the responsibility and gets to drive a car because he's older, and Bobby, he gets treated like a baby because he's younger, and they end up having this middle child syndrome. I think Brady Bunch had a episode about that, didn't they, guys? Didn't Brady Bunch have an episode where Jan and Peter kind of felt like they were a little bit ignored because they were the middle children? That's a real thing, middle child syndrome. If you're a middle child, let me know in the comments, and did you experience that phenomena where your older siblings got the car and the responsibility and they seemed like they had a great life, and then your younger siblings get treated like princes and princesses? Did you have that experience? Because if so, you've got a unique view of life. Now, I have a situation where I was an only child with an asterisk. I think I told you guys before that during my surgery, I reached out to my dad only to find out that my dad has been dead for 5 years. I was one of these guys that I never had a relationship with my dad. And that's why there's that underpinning story of me wanting to have a better relationship with my son. Guys, because the last thing that I want to do is just have a situation, where I'm not in my son's life. I want to be in that kid's life. He's a good kid, very cool. And if your kid's a nerd and not cool, that's one thing. But my son's very cool and I want to be in his life. So hopefully this will be the Father's Day where he gives me a call. He's literally impossible to get in touch with. And it is very disappointing, but it is what it is. And despite my issues with my kids, I still want you guys to have a wonderful Father's Day out there. Sometimes we're the little kid in a family. We're the smallest, youngest child. And sometimes our siblings are super old. I had a buddy in high school named Don. He was one of the guys that skipped out on being my best man at my wedding, like a week and a half before the wedding. He had a situation where his next youngest brother, or his next oldest brother, was like 6 or 7 years older than him. And guys, he was in one of these families where he had like 9 or 10 brothers or sisters. So again, if you're a venter that has quite a big family, quite a few brothers and sisters, let me know in the comments. But basically, he was the baby. But he was the baby in a giant family where there wasn't necessarily $1 million to baby him with. But as he got older, his brothers were adults. So a lot of times they were able to help him get a job. They were able to help him get a vehicle. If they had a hand-me-down car that they were kind of no longer using, it kind of went to him. And as an only child, I kind of saw that as in, God, what kind of crap is that? Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. Guys, I have a sister named Dawn. And here's the real sad thing about a dad that chooses not to be in his son's life. My dad lived 15 minutes down the street, 15 minutes walking. He lived about a minute and a half driving. I was under the impression all through my childhood that my dad was this mythical character, this Big Fish type character, which, by the way, Big Fish, great movie, watch it if you get a chance. I was under the impression he lived in Oklahoma City. Guys, he lived in Westtown. He lived literally 15 minutes walking away from me. And my dad chose not to be in my life. Now, as I became an adult, I wanted to be in his life, but that's not the point of this story. Guys, I have a sister named Dawn that I have never met, and there's a chance that I never will, if she's still alive. She's supposedly a year or two older than me, so I'm guessing she's around 50 years old if she's still alive. And because my dad was such a mess when he was a younger guy, his girlfriend at the time, who is Dawn's mother, she made him give up rights to the daughter, and she had the daughter adopted out to her husband. So it's not like she left the family. She's still with the mom, right? Well, she's not with the mom now because the mom's probably passed away too. But the moral of the story is I have a sister. None of my family members, my cousins or my aunts, apparently none of them wrote down the woman's last name, which seems like a real shame. I mean, seriously, if your family members have kids and you can't even remember their name, do you know how disappointing it is when you reach out to your family and you say, hey, I would really like to get in touch with my sister Dawn, and they say no. So I don't really know where to go from here. If you guys know private investigators, or if you're a private investigator and you want to make Jesse's day, let me know. Maybe I could get in touch with somebody, and maybe we can have somebody that has the ability and knowledge on how to find out who my sister is. Wouldn't that be crazy if just doing a YouTube channel helped me reunite with my sister, even though I'm not able to reunite with my dad? You know how weird it is to find out that you want to meet with your dad, and you come to find out he's been dead for 5 years. Oh my God, what a nightmare. I have a situation where 10, 15 years ago, most of my family was still alive and well, other than a couple of great grandparents, right? And over the last 15 to 16, 17 years, it's just been domino after domino of family members and friends that have passed away. Battery change right in the same spot, right in the shade, right? That's Providence right there. So anyway, I have a sister named Dawn that I will never know. I wish I could tell you I knew her last name. I have no idea. Don't know if she's alive or if she's passed. And because my family on my dad's side didn't really think to write down her name. I don't even know how you forget a person's name. You know, I had 3 aunts. 2 of them are no longer with us. One of them is. She's in her 70s. God bless her. She's a super nice human being. It's just, I'm sorry, but if you don't know your nieces and nephews' names and you just let one kind of disappear, that just seems really unbelievable. I even asked my cousin Jackie, I go, can't you ask Aunt Sue if she has an old high school yearbook of my dad's, and, you know, can't she technically locate this person? And apparently not. So again, if you guys know magical ways around this, you know, maybe let me know in the comments or what have you. It's not something that makes me sad, because even though I know I have a sister out there, I've never met her. So, you know, I am sad about not being in my dad's life, because, you know, I wanted to reach out to him. Here's the problem that I have that hopefully you guys won't. I waited till I was 47 to come up with the magical idea of actually getting on Facebook and trying to locate my dad's side of the family. I could have done that at the age of 37. I could have even done that at the age of 27 or 28. But for whatever reason, I didn't. So again, if you're in one of these situations, guys, be in your family's life, right? Be the person that takes that first step. There's absolutely no reason to wait for your dad or your grandparents to reach out to you, because, let's be honest, if it's been 15, 20, 30 years and they haven't, they're not going to, okay? But a lot of times, if you put yourself in their situation, my dad was into drugs and alcohol and partying, and he just wasn't necessarily the best person when he was younger. So there might be a piece of him that throughout his later adult life, he might have wanted to reach out to me, but because of embarrassment and shame, he might have just avoided the situation. That's where you and where I have to be adults and take that first step. This comes down to things like forgiveness and stuff. Sometimes we don't want to forgive people, but guys, if you don't forgive people and you hold hatred or enmity or spite towards others, guys, the only one that hurts and it poisons is you. So if you want to do your mental health some good, get out on a walk, see if you can come up with a game plan. Hey Jesse, speaking of game plans, not to interrupt you, but what if I want to start walking? What if I don't want to take a mental walk? Is there something else I can do above and beyond that? I'm already walking half an hour a day. Yes, there is. You guys can have a homework assignment. Here's your homework assignment, and I especially want you to tackle it if you don't like water. Some of us don't like water. They think it tastes tasteless or bad, when in reality, water kind of doesn't taste like anything, right? But you give me a nice cold glass of ice water after a hot walk, and I'll guzzle that baby down and probably ask for seconds. Here's your assignment. If you dislike water and you're drinking a lot of things other than water, I'm going to give you an assignment. The assignment is this: 10 a.m., noon to 1, and 4 to 5 in the afternoon, those 3 time periods, right? I want you to get a bottle or a glass of water, and I want you to sit down and drink that water and then move on with your day. If you have a hard time drinking water, your boy's going to give you homework assignments until you learn to love it. Because no matter how you slice or dice it, there was a time on this planet where the only darn thing you could drink was water. We're going to take you back to that time period. So our walks are designed to copy students in their daily walks, right? That's the inspiration there. The inspiration for water is our caveman ancestors, where all they had to drink was water. And if you dislike it, you're not the only one. There are people out there that don't want anything to do with water, but you don't have a choice. You have a homework assignment, and I expect you to do it. If you want to wait till next week on it, fine. But if you're looking to go a little bit further than just a 10-minute walk, go ahead and start adding water to your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And by the way, that's what those numbers are based on. If you can have your breakfast at 10 a.m., great, drink a bottle of water. But if you have your breakfast at 7 or 8 in the morning, drink a bottle of water, okay? Another thing that you can start doing is a baby step on your sugar. So if you have your coffee with 2 creams and 2 sugars, maybe make today the day where you only have it with 1 sugar. Let's do a baby step. That's what this plan is about. Can we do little baby steps that don't make us super uncomfortable? Because I'm a firm believer that if your daily coffee, right, you have 365 cups of Joe a year, if you can eliminate a sugar packet from every single one of those cups, you still have a little sugar in there, right? Because you still have one of your 2 sugars. But if you can eliminate the other one, that's a couple calories that you're ditching. That's going to have a multiplicative effect over the course of a year. And I think it's a perfect little baby step. If at the end of your day for your supper you have 2 Coca-Colas and a donut, maybe today is that day where you can say, you know what, I'm just going to have 1 Coca-Cola and my donut. Just small little baby steps. We'll get there together. And again, if you don't really feel like a 10-minute walk is worthy of your time and attention, well then challenge yourself. Take 2 10-minute walks in the morning, right? Make it a 20-minute walk before work. If you're up to doing a half hour, never let me hold you back. Do it. And if you have a gym membership and you're adding this to your gym membership, right? Like Sean Ayton, do it. There's a lot of people that have workouts. There's a lot of people that go to the gym. I would never ask you to ditch your gym membership. But if you're in a situation like Mala, where you enjoy walking more than your gym membership, get rid of your gym membership. Remember, this plan involves the venters, but everybody's a little individual and different. Anyway, if this was your second walk ever, let me know in the comments. If today was your first walk ever, hey, you're right on time. This is day 2 of our 90-day challenge. You haven't missed much. And if you've been here forever, I'm glad to see you back. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, if you've been here long term, there's no reason why you can't keep walking. You're still in extra credit mode. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.